Hello everybody and welcome to the video. Today is episode 9 of the Zero2Hero series, and so much has happened since the last episode. For one, we got the arena grind episode out, which if you don't know, there is a Zero2Hero arena grind sub-series that I've started on, which is going to show the start of our arena adventure, because I think now's a decent time to start off. We have access to runes. Soon we're going to have access to grinds, so it doesn't hurt to kind of start off on making a couple teams and all that. I suggest you go watch the episode, but for just a little bit of a sneak peek into how the units are doing. They're runed for the most part. They just need a couple more levels, but it's just like you get someone like Morris here. He has his runes, he's Violent Will. He just needs grinds, because it's like he has no grinds. He might need a couple more gems to improve the dings on him, but for the most part, like, they have kind of what they need. Their stats will be a little bit better, because I, again, need more gems, and grinds will just boost them a lot. Here you can see Bulwark. Well, Bulwark doesn't have the craziest, insane amount of speed. He's on this right here, but it's just like I could get him over 100 speed, more defense, more HP. Look at that, 91% resistance. He's doing pretty well. He got the resistance this way, but look at that. Look at the stats. It's a good start, right? So there's that, and then obviously cocky here. But again, it's a good way to start off, right? And it's like eventually it'll be better. We'll have more units, and we're gonna jump into that arena so soon, and we're just gonna beat the hell out of these people in the arena. We're gonna climb up soon. But again, if you want to experience that journey as it's happening, I am releasing videos, and I'm even gonna probably make one tomorrow or tonight, depending on how long it takes to edit this. Plus there's other things I'm working on, so stay tuned for that. But if you're into the arena stuff, I've already released episode 1. Go and watch it. It gives you an idea of where we've started so far. But what we're going to be concerned about is what's happened in terms of building the account, not the arena necessarily. So in the last episode, I mentioned that I wanted to get into Steel Fortress and Punisher's Crypt real quick, just get to B10 and start farming some artifacts, because artifacts are important. But I wanted to start farming artifacts so we can throw them on our units and increase our chances of beating Rift Raid level 5 successfully, because that's the goal right now, is get to Rift Raid level 5. Now, if you don't know why you want to get to Rift Raid level 5, let me show you. So Rift Raid level 5 drops grindstones, which grindstones are really good. Obviously at level 1 through 4, they're not necessarily great. At levels 1 through 3, they're awful, right? Because it's like you're going to get just a ton of gray or greens and blues. At level 4, you can manage, but you really want level 5, right? Obviously, you're going to get mostly legendaries and purples, and regardless of the grindstones that you get, you're going to use all of them eventually. So it's nice to have a consistent stream of grindstones, and it's like your Rift Raid level 5 runs are going to be around a minute. I don't care how awful your units are, because it's either your team just dies too easily, or they don't die and you do enough damage. But it's just like having, again, this consistent stream of grindstones coming in, it'll make all of our units so much stronger, and it means that we can improve just in general everything. Our arena grind is going to be so much easier because our stats are going to look so much better. Places like Giant's Keep, Dragon's Lair, Necropolis, all those areas we're going to have much faster times, because we're going to have just so much more stats. We're going to be landing our stuff more, because we could put accuracy in the substats with like gems, or we could just roll into it. And then with stuff like HP, attack, and defense, we're just gonna have more of it thanks to the grindstones. Plus you also get like the beast claws and all that, and you have a chance of getting shape-shifting stones and all that, so you can get transmogs, beast horns, beast claws, you know the deal. But it's just like we want this stream of grindstones coming in, so it's like we're gonna be aiming for that. But again, level 5 can be really difficult, right? So for a beginner, so to increase our chances of successfully entering there for the first time and not really struggling, I thought, why not have, some artifacts? Because artifacts, when you look at them like this, right? Like this is okay, because it's like you get the base defense flat, whatever, plus 100. Then you get the additional damage based off of 0.3% of HP, which isn't a lot. It's not too much. Damage dealt on water, 4%, cool, whatever. Additional damage by 33% of of speed, which is nothing, especially with this guy. and then damage taken from water minus 5%. I mean, you go to even other units like, let's see if we could find them, Veramos, where it's just like he has something like this, where it's like crit damage as less enemies HP, damage dealt, damage taken, whatever. And then you throw on an artifact on him, a new artifact. Maybe with enough artifacts farmed, you could do damage based off of enemies' HP is more. Which, it's like you would want something like this, especially for like the Giant's Keep or whatever, because it's like you want your first attack to do a ton of damage. Your first attack doing big damage is going to be important, so you could hurry up and finish the dungeon. So it's like this. Crit damage as enemies' HP is more 22%. You get 22% more damage. So when he goes in for that first attack, he can get anywhere from 20 to 22% depending on who attacked before him. Damage, increased damage, 22% more crit damage is amazing. And then speed up effect, additional damage by 2% of attack. It's just like you look at a lot of these and it's like they're not that bad. Own turn, one target crit damage plus 5%. Crit damage is enemies' HP is 5%, blah blah blah. But it's just like these are really big. Like something like this, look at that. Crit damage is less enemies' HP max 35%. So if the enemy has lower HP, you're dealing more damage. So it's like you would want like an artifact like this on him, maybe change out the recovery skill too. And he's just like, he's amazing, right? So it's like these artifacts can be a big deal, especially when it comes to the boss, because it's you don't just have artifacts for damage. You have them for reducing the damage coming in. Maybe you have them to help with accuracy checks, because you can get skill 2 or 3 accuracy or whatever, as you can see here. It just helps with everything, especially like recovery, healing, whatever it is. It's just like artifacts are going to help, and anything that we can use to our advantage to help us beat the Rift Beast, or not Rift Beast, but Rift Raid level 5, it's like I'm gonna take it. So we obviously beat level 10. I'll show you my times on it. It doesn't matter because like you should be able to do level 10 from like the get-go. But a minute 14 Steel Fortress and Punisher's Crypt is a minute 1. I don't think I've really lost at all. Maybe like once or twice, but like these teams aren't speed tuned. Like I just threw these units in there. And it's just like for like Punisher's Crypt, like we can get into that when we try to beat it for real. Punisher's Crypt, you're gonna want like Irogar and your Crow to be a little bit more tanky because they're gonna get targeted. Steel Fortress isn't really a big deal. I just need speed tuning, and that Zinc is not fast enough, so he needs to be faster. But yeah, I mean we'll be able to do so much better when we have everything up and running. But we've beaten it, right? So with that being said, I want to show you guys the pre-made teams I've made for Rift Raid 5. So let's go. Okay, so here we are, Rift Raid level 1. You'll see that I've taken up all the slots, and for those of you who don't know, this is on purpose. You're going to want to, whenever you decide to try and conquer Rift Raid, you're going to want to make 3 teams for Rift Raid level 5, right? Not just 1. You can play with other people, cool, whatever. For me, personally, I'd like to be able to farm Rift Raid whenever I want, and I want to farm it now, right? So I don't want to have to wait for enough people to get in, only for us to do like a 30 times repeat battle, and then everyone decides, you know, I need to log off for now, and it's just like, now I can't farm Rift Raid level 5, right? For me, it's like, I'll have days off of like work, and I'll be in my room, like I'll be chilling in my room all day. And all day, for hours, like 10, 11, 12 hours, Rift Raid is farming. It is farming. So it's just like, you take out the possibility of having to rely on others, which, trust me, you're not going to want to have to do that. Not saying that people are unreliable, but I kind of am saying that they're unreliable, right? If you mess up, you're messing up because of you, not because of anybody else, right? And sometimes people, it's just the teams that they make, it's just like, you kind of got to think about their units a little bit. But then again, we're about to look at my teams, and I guarantee you they're not going to be so great. But yeah, so 3 teams on purpose. So I've made 3 teams. So I'm going to put them up right now, and I'm going to explain them. I know. Chill. But this is on purpose. Some of these units are subject to change, right? And I'll explain these units as we go through it. So Team 1, starting all the way on the left with Fron or Kamamir or whatever, the speed lead. Actually, one thing I should note is that you're gonna need different leader skills, as far as I'm aware, because, like, for example, you can't have similar leader skills. You can't have 2 defense pluses or whatever. You have to have a different leader skill for each and every single team. So it's like, try to pick ones that matter, like HP, defense, resistance, something that's going to help, because have all the attack that you want. When that boss gets to half HP, he's going to jump it up in the air and crash down on you, and he's going to try and land tons of debuffs, stun you, put Oblivion on you, and just do big damage in general. You want units that are going to help you with that stuff. So hence, you'll see that I have the Anubis that has the defense plus 25%, and then I brought this Harg only because of his passive, or not his passive, but his leader skill. Plus, he has a decent kit in a sense. I mean, we'll go over it in a little bit, but again, some of these units are subject to change. Potentially the Anubis, for all I know. But let's talk about team number 1 with Thrawn, Konamiya, Ryuk, Crow, Tyrant, and Akamamir. So obviously, out of all the people with leaders on here, everyone has a speed lead. Anyone who has a leader skill. Akamamir has the fastest. He can do damage. He can do a decent amount of damage. I need to give him new artifacts, obviously. But he can do decent damage, especially with his skill 2, Disturb HP Recovery, which is alright. But he does damage based off harmful effects. He's going to hit pretty hard, right? Which you'll see as we attempt to conquer Rift Raid level 5. Tyrant. The reason Tyrant is here, yes, he could do damage or whatever, I suppose. Not really, not with the build he has on. But he brings a lot of debuffs, which, when it comes to building any of your teams, you're going to want specific debuffs. I mean, bring as many as you can, but you're going to want specific debuffs. You're going to want glancing hit, attack breaks, defense breaks, branding, potentially, if you could bring a branding, which Crow's going to have a branding. But it's like, you're going to want a lot. And Tyrant brings a lot. So, looking at skill 1, crit rate, whatever. Skill 2 has a chance of placing a glancing hit on the enemy. Again, you want glancing hit. Reason being is when you knock the boss down to half HP, everyone will stop attacking. He'll do his little animation. He'll jump into the sky, and then he'll pounce down on you. He'll stun some people. He'll do a lot of critical hits, which can kill your squishies if you're not prepared. It can get really bad. Glancing hits will prevent this. Remember what a glancing hit does. When you land a glancing hit, all you do is a minor amount of damage. You don't land debuffs. You don't do any of that stuff. You cannot land critical hits. So, if you can bring as many units as possible that have glancing hits, it'll increase your chances of successfully landing one before he hits half HP, allowing your units to not be stunned and oblivioned and all that, by the time you get to the second part of the fight, which is really important. So, glancing hit on skill 2 is nice. And then his skill 3 has attack speed decrease, which is just another debuff, I guess. Because I don't believe it might matter. I can't remember, and I'm not going to check. But then you have Crow. Crow's here for obvious reasons. I mean, he has branding, which is nice. Team up, so he's going to do big damage with some people. And then he has a defense break. It's not really hard to explain him. Ryuk is also here for just straight raw damage. Team up with allies is going to be really good. Again, I might have to update some of the runes. This is going to be a really big project. Like, throughout the days, I'm just going to show you minor updates of just like how I'm building some of these units. So like, we'll focus on team 1 after this video, which again we'll get into. I'm moving too far ahead. We'll talk about that later. But back row makes sense. Damage dealers, we got a glancing hit, we got damage based off of harmful effects. We're gonna do big damage. Konamiya. So this is gonna be a unit that some of you probably have really never touched. Even if you're like experienced, like you might not have touched her, because it's very easy to just grab her and throw her in to the monster storage, or heck, even use her as fodder. But Konamiya is a really good unit, especially for Rift Raid level 5, due to her 3rd skill. Removes all harmful effects on all allies and recovers HP by 15% each. So that seems kind of stupid, but remember, sometimes you fail. Sometimes your units suck. The AI suck. Sometimes things just don't go your way, and the boss lands all of his debuffs. You're going to want a unit that cleanses. Now, you might be like, hey, you're talking about units that cleanse. What about Veramos? The thing is, one of the debuffs that the boss brings is Oblivion. Oblivion prevents you from using your passives, which Veramos' cleanse is in his passive, which will prevent him from cleansing. So it's like the only reason you brought him, it's not functioning, right? He's not cleansing, which is, again, the only reason you brought him. But, so he'll cleanse debuffs, and plus he'll heal, and he'll be in the front helping tank. Fills up an ally's attack bar and strengthens the attack power for 1 turn. So he'll allow one of these back row units to move that, or he'll make Fron move, which regardless of who he makes move, we're either getting damage or we're getting a heal or something, which is nice. And then skill 1's May Stun, which we don't care about this. And Fron should be pretty obvious. Healing, immunity, attack buff, and you're going to want the immunity. Immunity is going to be a really big deal. I mean, all of these teams have immunity, because if you can get the immunity up and running, and you can hit the boss hard enough and fast enough and have the immunity up when he gets to half HP, the stun and all that and Oblivion won't mean nothing, because it's just like you're going to have immunity on you. So Team 1 should be fine. Plus, you get the speed lead, so everyone's moving pretty decent. But now we get into Team number 2. So in the front row, we have more front row units than all the other teams. The first team is really like damage dealers. Now this one is, this one deals damage as well, but again, more units in the front line. So we have Lulu, which we're going to 2A him. The Light Anubis, Shannon, both Boomerang twins, whatever. And then we have the new unit, which I'm going to get into him in a little bit. But Lulu. So Lulu cleanses on his skill 3. And he's going to use this quite often, which is nice. Plus, he also grants immunity. So in case we do manage to get off his immunity before the boss does anything, that's going to be really nice. The thing is, with all these healers, especially the ones that place immunity, we're going to have to build them fast. Swift. Build them on Swift, so it's like they can get it off before the boss does too much. But cleansing on here in case, and then he also cleanses here, and then he heals, and then in skill 1 he heals. So it might not be a bad idea to throw him on Swift Revenge, maybe for that small chance of him revenging. But then you could also just throw him on Tolerance, I think. That increases allies' resistance. It's all dependent on what you want, but you will see how I go with him. It's all dependent on what I decide by the time we start working on that team. But general healer. So Anubis. Here's the reason I brought him. So skill 1, Disturb HP Recovery. Skill 2, Branding, which is nice. And then the damage increases as the enemy's HP becomes lower. We don't really care about this. I only care about the branding, kind of. Obviously defense lead, but his passive, or not his passive, his third skill is really nice. He cleanses all harmful effects, so we get another cleanse on this team. So we have Lulu and him. He recovers the HP by 30% of your max HP. And then he revives all dead allies with 30% of HP if there's any defeated allies. But the skill cooldown will be increased by 2 turns for each revived ally. So, nice revive, right? We get a revive. And the cool thing is, my allies, they're the damage dealers, except for maybe Ryomen, Sukuna, they don't need their skills, right? They could use skill 1 and do a lot of damage. So the twins are there on purpose because they don't need their skills. So this revive is going to be nice in case someone does die. So really nice. Plus defense lead plus 25%. Shannon is here for very obvious reasons. Defense buff, attack buff, slows, sorry. And then glancing on skill 1. Again, another glancing. Giving ourselves as many chances as possible to prevent the enemy from doing anything to us except small bits of damage. So, really nice. Shannon is a must pick for your beginner riff rate teams. Talia and Sabrina, I believe, must-haves. Big damage dealers, massive damage dealers. They only really need their skill 1s. They don't need skill ups, and they can, again, hit pretty freaking hard. Ryomen Sukuna, I brought him because, I needed a damage dealer, but 2, it's just like he has attack and defense break on this skill. Plus, if the enemy's defense broken, it's going to be really easy for him to do just multiple hits. Plus, this ignores all damage reduction effects, so he can get off a good amount of damage. And then his passive, I guess, can kind of maybe help him, but he's a filler. We could potentially find another damage dealer to put in here, but for now, he works. So yeah. Moving on to the third and final team, we have the Light Harg, which I don't remember it. Dova. Really. Dova, Colleen, Raviti, I believe is this guy's name. Gosh, I can't remember what your name is. Huahi, Charlotte, and then Naomi. So, you'll notice that Charlotte doesn't have any runes. So with Dova, he has a resistance lead. Plus, he has this little passive right here, which may be at risk because this team doesn't have immunity. But becomes best friends with an ally with the lowest HP when the battle begins. Grants 1 blah 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 attack, recovery, endure according to the friend's HP status for 1 turn. He increases attack bar, blah, blah, blah. I might replace him because he's really only here for the leader skill so far. So you might not see him. But again, thankfully, he's on the last team. So he'll be on there last. He's going to be one of the units we're working on last. But we have Colleen. So Colleen is a really good unit here. She has attack break, which again, you're going to want attack break. You're going to want to have an attack break on this boss. Decrease as much damage as possible. Disturb HP recovery. And then heals all allies and then gives them an attack boost. You have Ravidi here. So Ravidi's a really big deal. I mean, he has a defense lead if you decide to use it. But fills up attack bar of the ally. This one decreases attack bar, decreases attack speed. Don't really care about this. It's this third skill that I really care about. He cleanses all harmful effects on all allies and then grants immunity to all allies with no harmful effects to be removed for 2 turns. Did I a second ago say that this doesn't have immunity? We do have immunity. My bad. But he cleanses and then places immunity. So obviously I chose him on purpose. Plus he creates a shield proportionate to his defense. So obviously we're probably going to build him on like Swift Energy. Very fast, very tanky, with tons of defense. So we're going to throw him like speed, defense, and to get his HP and speed in the subs. We don't really care about him landing anything. He's just there to tank. So that's cool. Hua He is going to stay on the build she's on. She's pretty fast. Decrease defense, increase attack power of all allies. And then skill 1 also has glancing. And then she heals on skill 2. So really nice. She's really not a bad unit for Rift Raid level 5. Charlotte, what was it? I don't care about skill 1. Skill 2, decrease attack speed, but it's skill 3, where she increases the attack bar of all allies, so allies move more often. And she places glancing. So she's subject to change, but for now she's on there. And then Naomi's a pretty basic unit. Tons of damage. Yeah, I mean, she's there for damage. So those are the teams so far. So as you can see, we have a general idea for what our Rift Raid level 5 teams are going to look like. Again, some units are subject to change. If I can find better units, or if I think of better units, for right now they're kind of quote-unquote filler units, just filling in positions. But for most of the filler units we have, we're going to switch up. Like, they're not on the first team. Our first team is pretty definitive. I mean, we could work on the first team with no worries about being like, actually, you know what, maybe I don't want this unit on the team anymore. We're going to use all those units for sure. And even if we decide to move Konami into a different team, it's like she's going to be a useful unit. Again, gosh, I don't know why I left when I need to go back here for a second. So, Sukuna can change, and the Dova could change, potentially. Because it's like, Dova's there for the leader skill, right? It's just like, let's see, leader skills. I either want HP or resistance, right? And it's just like, I mean, I don't need some of these units. That's the thing. I would have to look through, but it's just, let me not get lost in that, because I'll sit here quiet for like 10 minutes. But it's like we have a general idea of what we want our teams to do. I mean, we have tons of damage. We focused as well as on their survivability. I mean, we have the glancing, we have attack breaks. I mean, we have the debuffs that we desperately need to beat this boss. It's just, again, some units are subject to change. So for the most part, we have everything done. What's going to happen is maybe a day or two from now, I'll make an update video, because I just need to grab the units for the first team, focus on them primarily, update the runes if the runes need updating. If I think that they're like lacking in runes or in rune quality, I'll change the runes around and I'll work on them, and I'll give them all new artifacts that fit their kit. And then I'll also farm gemstones. So give it a day or two and you'll see another video updating you on team number 1, because that's what we're working on first. Team number 1. And in case you don't know who team number 1 is, again, when we were on that screen, you can go back and rewind. It's team number 1 is the one all the way on the left. Team number 2 is obviously the middle one. Team number 3 is the one all the way on the right. So team number 1 already is mostly built, thankfully. We just need to work on Konamiya, and then again, check runes, check enchantment gems if we can do them on those units. Potentially grinds if we can, but I'm not going to worry too much about grinds. That's, I mean, the whole reason we're here. But yeah, this was such a long video, and I just wanted to be straightforward with you guys about what we're doing. I mean, this is a really big deal for our account. I have faith that we're going to beat it. Again, I'll find some units, maybe we replace some units, but till then, I think that's pretty much it. You guys tell me what you think. Are you guys excited for Rift Raid? Are you guys going to make your own teams for Rift Raid? I don't know. You tell me. Maybe you have an issue with the teams I've made. Anything, just leave a comment, right? But until next time, until the next video, have a good night. Peace.